Before we start this video, I know today's video will be indeed controversial, but hopefully you guys can understand where I'm coming from. And if you guys do not believe me, then you guys can indeed search these pieces of information up yourself. But if you guys like opinions like mine, or want to hear my opinions in general, then subscribe to the channel. You guys can check out more opinion videos I have on players such as Justin Herbert being a bust and Patrick Mahomes being overrated. In those videos, you'll see what I mean when I type with those. Or you guys just subscribe to see the few NHL videos I have, or the huge NFL breaking news. So if you guys didn't realize, oh, wait a second, Leonard Fournette is on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Boom, there you go. That video will be on the channel. Actually, that video is not on the channel because I have not actually covered that video, which I probably should. But anyway, yeah, just subscribe to the channel. You guys get a lot of content, and with everything out of the way, you guys came here to see what the video is all about. So, let's talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Okay, so I know that today's video will be indeed controversial. That's why you clicked onto it. To agree with me, to disagree with me, or just here just because you're on the toilet and want to listen to some football. Here I am, and let's talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because they seem to be favorites to win the Super Bowl this year. Aside from the Kansas City Chiefs and the Saints and all other teams, but they're the top three. You know, they're like the top two behind the Chiefs. But anyway, I'm here to tell you this. I believe that they will make the playoffs. I don't believe they will win the Super Bowl. Hell, I don't think they're even going to make the Super Bowl. But why? Why, Patriot? Why would you think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, with that loadout, with that team they have, won't win a Super Bowl? Before you dislike this video, hear me out. Alright, I probably put a disclaimer at the beginning of the video, so here we go. Let's talk about what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have. QB, they have Tom Brady. You know, Tom Brady hasn't learned a new playbook in over 20 years. Well, actually, no, scratch that. He has multiple new offensive coordinators, but they're all similar to the way the other playbooks are. There's not that much change to the Patriots playbook. But now, Tom Brady, a 43-year-old quarterback, is now going to be in a system where he's going to be very different than what he was with the Patriots. The Patriots, Tom Brady was a quarterback who didn't throw from that many yards. You know, he threw for, 5 yards, he didn't throw for that many. He's not like Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston was the complete opposite. He had to throw for 20, 30 yards. But why am I comparing Tom Brady to Jameis Winston? That's pretty simple. Jameis Winston was the QB for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady is now the new QB for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bruce Arians has one of the most complicated playbooks in the entire NFL. Which is ironic because he is the QB whisperer, and it takes at least 2 years for a QB to master Bruce Arians' playbook. And that's clearly obvious. You can tell from Peyton Manning. You can tell from Big Ben. You can tell, hell, the perfect example of this would be Chris Palmer when he was with the Arizona Cardinals. The first season, they would throw a lot of touchdowns, but throw a lot of interceptions. And then as the years go on, they keep on throwing a lot of touchdowns, but throw less and less interceptions. Which is why I believe that Jameis Winston was going to fail with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers anyway. He was going to fail anyway. They were going to throw him out and probably replace him. Either with Tom Brady or a different quarterback on the market. Like Cam Newton, like Ryan Tannehill, like Teddy Bridgewater. Basically, any QB on the market, Tampa Bay was going to take that risk. So there's a difference between the Patriots playbook, which is short passes, compared to Bruce Arians' playbook, which is a lot like Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes type of style, where you throw for a lot of yards. And I don't think that's good. I don't think that is good for the Buccaneers. Why is that? First of all, Jameis Winston, he was at his mid-20s. 25, 26. You know, that's fine. That's fine for a guy like that. But now you'll have a quarterback who is 43. Do you think his arm is still going to be as good as it was when he was 21? I don't think so. Now this is a disadvantage because, yes, Tom Brady has thrown for many yards. But he's not very used to it. You know, he's used to short passes, and then the wide receivers, or the running backs, or the tight ends will do the rest of the job. While with Tampa Bay, for example, they can't do anything without the quarterback. So it's kind of like the opposite way around. And now this might actually be in the Buccaneers' favor as well. Because Tom Brady hasn't been injured for that long. I mean, the only time that Tom Brady has been injured, like everyone would know, was that season where Tom Brady was out for the entire season, and that's when the Patriots went 10-6. That was the same season that the Patriots was in the wildcard round. That's why in 2012, they weren't the top two teams. That's why they didn't get by, because of Tom Brady being injured. But at the same time, he threw for short passes. It's not like he, used his arm to the last bit of energy. It's not like his arm is at its peak limit. It hasn't been used for its entire time. So, in a way, this is a disadvantage for Tom Brady, but also at the same time, it is an advantage for Tom Brady. Now, let's talk about the other people, your key opponents, the wide receivers. Mike Evans, who is injured as of right now, but I believe that he will come back. Mike Evans is 100% the number one wide receiver. And then they also have Chris Godwin, who will have to be the number one wide receiver. Can he step up to do that? Be the number one wide receiver? Maybe. I believe he can. But I don't think that he needs to carry this team. Why exactly? Well, let's talk about the other key components. The tight ends. Of course, they still have O.J. Howard, who wasn't really used for his full potential, mainly because Bruce Arians' playbook doesn't use tight ends that much. But this season, it will change, because the number one tight end this season will be Rob Gronkowski. Now, this is very interesting, because Rob Gronkowski retired after the Patriots won their 6th Super Bowl. He basically did what Peyton Manning did, which was retire when he should have. Rob Gronkowski wasn't the same player as he was before. The injuries got to him. So when he retired, it was the best, in general, it was the best move for him to do. We found out he didn't retire because he didn't want to play football anymore, that he wanted to end it off on a good note. He retired because Bill Belichick decided, we're going to trade you to the Detroit Lions for a 4th round pick. Rob Gronkowski decided to retire. So when Tom Brady decided to go to the Buccaneers, Rob Gronkowski he wanted to play with Tom Brady, saying that he would be the only quarterback he wants to play with. They traded for a 7th round pick, which that is not a great move. I would have done it for a 2nd round pick, because if he turned out to be good, hey, we still got a 2nd round pick. You know what I mean? If it turns out to be bad, then boom, we got steal. But Rob Gronkowski hasn't played football for an entire year. Now, this is good and bad. One, for starters, he's been injured, so having a full year to rest helps with getting back into the shape of, I'm a young dude, I'm like in my mid-30s, I should be good. At the same time, most tight ends in their mid-30s aren't really the greatest. They don't have that explosiveness anymore. They don't have that thing that most tight ends do when they're younger. Which is why George Kittle is the best tight end right now, because of explosiveness, because of the way he plays. Rob Gronkowski is in his mid-30s, so he doesn't have that tight end-esque to him. I mean, unless he somehow pulls that out of his ass. But there's one more thing. The thing is that he took a year off from football. Yes, that's good, but at the same time, it's not really. He hasn't learned a new playbook. He needs to get used to everything. Like, he missed a full season of football. And that's not really that good. Okay, cool. Now, let's talk about the running backs. They have 3 running backs, but they mainly have 2. LaShawn McCoy, who I don't know that much about. I'm pretty sure he was on the Philadelphia Eagles at one point. I got no clue. Hopefully he's good. And Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette was the running back the Jacksonville Jaguars picked in the 2017 draft. The same year that Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes, Ezekiel Elliott, Christian McCaffrey, Mitchell Trubisky, all of those players were drafted. Why does this matter? Leonard Fournette was supposed to be the next best running back ever. He was supposed to be the best running back coming out of college. Entirely. Better than Bo Jackson. Better than Barry Sanders. Better than Eric Dickerson. Like, he was supposed to be on their level and even more. Unfortunately, he ended up with the Jacksonville Jaguars, which wasn't that bad because, they needed to make the Super Bowl. Fortunately, he was on a team with Blake Bortles, and that didn't really help. And then he gained weight. He didn't play the same way he did before. Then all those quarterbacks move out. Nick Foles comes in. He gets injured. Gardner Minshew comes in. And then Leonard Fournette plays better. Why was that? Because he had people in his life who were bad. So he cut them out. He's lost more weight. He decided to basically, look, I love football. And this is my life. This is my career. I need to get back into things and let me play the way I wanted to play coming out of college and high school. And then, of course, we now know that the Jacksonville Jaguars released and traded so many of their key players. Calais Campbell, traded. Yannick Ngakoue, traded. Leonard Fournette got released. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers picked him up. He is going to be not the first running back. He's not going to be the main running back. But I'll assure you, by the end of the season, Leonard Fournette will. Leonard Fournette will 100% be the number one running back. Is there any problems with Leonard Fournette? I mean, he's an average. He's an above average running back. That's all I can say. He's nothing special, but he's not trash. And he's not mediocre. He's above average. Which can turn out good for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because they won't expect Leonard Fournette to do good this year. I know this whole video is talking about how I think the Buccaneers won't do good this year, but I don't know. I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl. Now, their offensive line. Let's talk about that. The first thing that comes to my mind, the offensive line is young. It is young, and that's all I had to say. Of course, with the 14th pick of the draft, the 14th or the 13th, they picked up Tristan Wirth, if I said his name correctly. He is an offensive lineman. The offensive line is young. It's fine, but if they do not protect Brady, they are going to get him injured, they're going to get him hurt, and he's not going to play the same way they want him to play. And that could affect not only the offensive line's mental state, that we need to protect Brady at all costs, so much that, they panic. At the same time, that could also affect Brady, because for once, Brady doesn't have a good offensive line. For once, Brady now needs to be, okay, I need to get this football out of my hand as quickly as possible before this offensive line pulls an Indianapolis Colts, and I have to retire early, because the Colts offensive line with Andrew Luck in there was horrendous. It wasn't until the last 2 seasons of Andrew Luck's career that they decided to get a good offensive line. So hopefully, if they can protect Brady, then I think they should be good. Their defense is young, kind of suspect, but I think they'll be fine. Right? They're not special like the Buffalo Bills. They're not special like the Pittsburgh Steelers, because those defenses are special on the way they play. Same thing with the 49ers defense and the Ravens defense. They give this aura around them. But they're fine. They're nothing special, they're nothing terrible. They're just fine, right? It's not like they're even underrated. Because an underrated defense would be like the Minnesota Vikings. Their defense is underrated. And compared to the Vikings defense, they don't compete. So, they're fine, right? So why do I think this team is not going to do well? I listed off good and I listed bad things. Why do I think this team is not going to be good? First off, let's talk about it. They have a new QB. They learn a new playbook. A playbook that is 100% the opposite of what his whole playbook has been for the last 20 years. A playbook which will tear his arm, especially due to his age. Passing to a mid-30-year-old tight end who has not played a single down football for over a year, who has lots of muscle, throwing to a wide receiver. No, not just the number 1 wide receiver. Throwing to the number 2 wide receiver because the number 1 wide receiver is injured. Handing off to running backs who, as we know, aren't elite level running backs, aside from Leonard Fournette, and even then, we don't know Leonard Fournette's full potential, which could just be nothing. The defense is suspect. The offensive line could be good, or it could be cult level terrible. To a point where Tom Brady is injured, where they had to bring in Josh Rosen, who Josh Rosen hasn't been on a good team yet, and this might be his final chance in the NFL. Right? Now let's talk about teams that are going to play against them. The Saints. You know? Saints. They are competing for a Super Bowl. Especially bringing in Emmanuel Sanders. And, they're re-signing Drew Brees for 2 years. If they win a Super Bowl, Drew Brees is retiring. They also had to deal with the Falcons. The Falcons' defense is completely garbage. But if their offense can pull a Chiefs, they should do well against the Buccaneers. The Panthers, they're going through a rebuilding stage, but if Christian McCaffrey can't destroy that defense, I think they should be good. The 49ers, their defense is a top 3 defense. And yes, even though they're offensive, and even if the wide receivers are still injured, they still have the best tight end in the league in George Kittle. And even if they make the Super Bowl, even if they do that, they'll most likely play against the Ravens, the Chiefs, maybe the Bills, maybe the Browns. All of them. Great offensive line, great talent on the offensive and the defensive side. So that's going to be a competition. And also, you guys got to compete against Seattle, against the Cardinals, against the Rams, against the Cowboys, against the Eagles, competing against everyone in your division, and then the winning of the AFC. It's very difficult for me to see this team doing great. You guys won the Super Bowl in your stadium, because also no single team has been in a Super Bowl in their own stadium. The closest team that's done that was the Minnesota Vikings, and they lost to Nick Foles. Nick Foles won the Super Bowl last year. That same year, the Vikings lost. I'm sorry, but I don't think the Buccaneers are going to play Super Bowl 55 in their own stadium. Maybe their second season with Tom Brady, they could possibly do it. But at that point, Tom Brady would be turning 45. And I'm sorry, I don't see a 45-year-old quarterback winning a Super Bowl. So, unless Brady gets injured and Josh Rosen plays out of his mind, pulling a Lamar Jackson type of play, type of game, type of season, I don't see this team winning a Super Bowl. And that's just it. I think that Tom Brady is going to end his career in failure. Which sucks because he should have done a Peyton Manning and retired early. And then the Patriots could have brought in a new quarterback. Maybe they could have brought in Jarrett Stidham still and put Brian Holder in. Who knows? But that's my reason why the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won't be good. If you guys disagree, give your opinion down in the comments. If you guys do agree, like today's video. You tell me in the comments if you agree with me. Yeah, just basically tell me what you think of my thoughts and all that. And I know you might be thinking, you're only saying this because Tom Brady led the Patriots. And I know that people are going to say that. Which is why I don't care. I simply don't care. If Tom Brady wins, I'm happy for him. He ended his career with one more Super Bowl. That's good for him. But as much as I would be happy for him to win another Super Bowl, I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't want to see him fail. I don't want to see him fail. It's not because he used to be a Patriot. That helps. But it's mainly because of the fact that everything going for Tom Brady is looking not the greatest. And after all, the last team we thought was going to be a Super Bowl contender was the Cleveland Browns. They went 6-10. Unless his team shocks me in some way, I don't see this team making the Super Bowl. I see them make the playoffs. I don't see them being the best team in their division, and I don't see them winning the Super Bowl. I'm sorry, but that's just me personally. Alright, on the way, I'm signing up for another day.